So, as the old saying goes, where's the best place to hide a dead body? Do you know?
Second page of Google.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love that joke. I've probably told it around here 100 times. It's so funny because it's funny because it's true.
You're listening to Repli Talk, a podcast designed to provide actionable marketing strategies and valuable insights around department marketing, hosted by Corbin Wright.
We have a special guest today.
Hello.
This is
Caitlin Lander, manager of digital marketing at Repli.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on again. I haven't been on
since the beginning.
Oh,
how's it feel?
Good. I feel more prepared this time.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Do you like the new setup?
I like it. I love it.
Okay.
I like this. I like sitting up high a little better and I love this fake greenery back here.
I know.
I love it.
It's my favorite part of the place.
This chair is a little
wobbly.
It needs a little help though. I'll fix that.
All right, so we got a new episode of Repli Talk, and today we are talking about PPC.
Yeah, easy as 1, 2, 3. It's so good, right?
It's so you.
I love I love cheesy ass jokes. Okay, so in working in PPC for almost 5 years and multifamily PPC for coming up on a whole year now, there are a few things that I've noticed that happen in PPC campaigns that we either take over or not so much ones that we run because we kind of have most of this on lock for the most part. But
we do.
Yeah, right, exactly. We better. But some things that we've noticed when we take over PPC campaigns that marketing managers are like, oh, well, this campaign has this problem. Like there's a low click-through rate or my conversions aren't, costing as much or as I'd like or anything like that.
Sure.
So we have 5 things that we've found in multifamily PPC campaigns to be problems and how to fix them.
So what's the first one?
So the first one is low click-through rate.
Okay.
So your click-through rate is the percentage that Google gives you based on how many people see your ads versus how many people actually click on them.
Gotcha.
And there are a couple of different things that are primary contributors to low click-through rate, right? So your ads aren't relevant to either the keywords you're bidding on or the search queries that are triggering your ads. So those are 2 different things. We'll get to that in a minute. And your ads aren't engaging.
Gotcha.
So you have to entice the person to give you that click, right? Like no one wants to click on a boring ad.
You got to work for it.
Right. And you need a really clear call to action. So obviously you can't use click here. That's against Google's guidelines. But it needs to be like schedule a tour today to qualify for this offer or immediate availability, call now, depending on like what your ad is tied to. So you need to have engaging ads and relevant ads. 2 things on ads being relevant. So when you think about ad relevance from Google's perspective, they like to see, that keyword in the ad, typically in the first headline and the first description, but you also want to make sure that the rest of the copy is relevant to the people clicking on it too.
For sure.
And also to the actual queries that are triggering your ads.
Okay.
And this is super important, especially because Google has gotten a little more lax with what they allow to come through. So they've got that, I love what they call it. What is it? Close variant.
Okay.
So that you'll have like a phrase or a broad match keyword that's a close variant.
So like apartment or apartments, something along those lines or something different?
Kind of different. So say you've got apartments in Fort Worth, and I'm going to pick on Fort Worth a lot because it's a great example for a lot of these things.
Yeah.
You've got apartments in Fort Worth, and you're not super familiar with match types, and you add this to your campaign, and you add it just broad match, no modifier, nothing.
Just letting it all out there.
Just letting it all out there, seeing what you get, and there's some strategy to that, and we'll talk about that later on too. But if you add apartments in Fort Worth, no modified broad match or anything like that, and you see what's coming in, you could get like Mexican restaurants in Fort Worth with what, and we actually have some funny examples of things coming up in our campaigns.
Oh yeah.
When we had kind of first inherited them from one of our biggest clients, and I think that might make a good blog post actually, like funny shit that we've seen come through with broad match keywords. Sorry. Okay, so
there was a proctologist one time too that I came across through a phone call because apparently proctology person pulled up and it was, or the ad pulled up and they were looking for a proctologist.
Exactly.
It was a little weird.
So if someone is actually looking for Mexican restaurants in Fort Worth and your ad triggers because Google thinks that that's relevant in relation to apartments in Fort Worth, you're not going to get a click on your ad if your ad copy is clear because you're not a Mexican restaurant. You're an apartment complex.
Yeah.
So if you get enough of those, your click-through rate's going to be really low.
Yeah.
So that's issue number 1.
Okay.
Any questions before we move on?
No, I think that's pretty clear.
Cool. Okay. So issue number 2 is low conversion rate. And this is one that we see more often when we inherit campaigns. And this is one of the bigger ones. There are a lot of things that can go into this. So first, if you're not using a landing page that's designed to encourage a user to take a specific action, you're going to see a low conversion rate in your campaign. So we see a lot of communities that use just their property website, which is great. So that's a great informational tool. Like we design property websites and provide them for our clients. Yeah. But most of the time they're not designed.
It serves a lot of purposes.
Right, exactly. They're not designed to serve the one purpose of generating a lead.
So to go in example for a website and all the purposes that it serves, yes, it serves the purpose of giving you information. But if you really look into it and think about what that website does as a whole, it can do online leasing. It can do your resident portal. It's a leasing tool for your leasing team to be able to go and show around. You might have virtual tours. You've got all of these different things, and that can really overwhelm the user.
Yeah.
But as a landing page, you have specific call to actions of what you want them to do.
Exactly.
Either submit their information or call.
Right. The next thing on the list is conversion tracking. So it's either not configured properly, or in most cases when we inherit an account, it's not configured at all. So you're running this campaign, you're spending money, you're getting clicks, you're driving them to, your website or whatever, and you're like, I don't see any leads. There's no leads coming into my campaign. And I'm like, well, do you have conversion tracking configured? And we usually get kind of a blank stare or like silence on the phone.
We're getting a bunch of clicks.
Right, exactly. So a few things with conversion tracking. You have to make sure it's configured properly. Yeah. You look like you're...
No, I'm listening.
Okay.
Intently.
So I like to say make a list and check it 3 times, right? It's really important. A lot of the tracking code that you'll use for tracking conversions is really specific, and it needs to go on specific parts of the page. Yep. If you're missing a comma, your tracking code will break.
If your phone number is done a certain way, it won't swap it for your Google conversion tracking number, and then it won't track your call conversions and all that fun stuff.
And that's one of the biggest things, is understanding how your conversion tags work. So that does not require you to be super web guru developer or anything like that. Like Google does a great job, and some of the other more popular conversion tracking platforms out there like CallRail do a great job of explaining in their documentation, making it easy to understand. So it's really easy to understand. So
and I think that goes back to landing pages too, where it's very easy to manipulate a landing page with your with these different scripts and these tags, because it doesn't make you do it globally.
Right.
So if you throw this tag and stuff on your website and it sends it across your whole website, like there could be things that are firing that you don't want them to fire on. So another reason why landing pages are great is because it does help with your tracking and your attribution and your conversion metrics.
Exactly. And you'll see a lot of like common threads kind of running throughout of these, because it's all kind of connected. All of these things like work together like little parts in a machine to like make the whole thing run. So 2 other things. Google Tag Assistant is so helpful and so easy to use, and so underrated. I see so many people looking at their conversion metrics and like, I don't know why this isn't working. Google Tag Assistant. It's a Chrome add-on or extension or whatever they call it. So easy to use, and like nobody knows about it. So add that to Chrome, and all you have to do is load your page, open the extension, click enable.
Tells you what you got.
And reload. Yeah, and it tells you what you have. It tells you what you have. It tells you what's wrong with it. If there's anything wrong, it'll take you directly to Google's documentation for fixing the issue.
Super helpful tool. They do the same thing with Facebook Pixels too.
Yeah, the Facebook Pixel also has that. Correct. And then the last thing with that is become familiar with looking for your conversion tags manually. So everyone sees source code on a page and they're like, "Oh God, I don't want to look at this code. Like it's too scary," but it's not. Learn to look for your conversion tag,
Yeah.
and then open the source code on your landing page or your website and find it.
Make sure
Control
that it's
find.
right.
That's it.
Absolutely.
And the last thing for low conversion rate is your landing page copy doesn't highlight your community unique selling points or use clear CTAs like your ad. So if you don't differentiate yourself as a community, no one's going to.
Absolutely.
So you need to entice that person, granted they're the right fit, and hopefully they are because you've bid on the right keywords and they've come in on the right things. If you don't entice them to make themselves a lead, they're not going to. And if there's no clear way for them to become a lead, they're not going to either. So your phone number needs to be in a really clear spot. The form you
Several
have,
clear spots.
Exactly. The form you have on the page should be ideally be above the fold or somewhere that's really, really easy for the user to get to.
Absolutely. And let me touch on one thing too about the tracking the conversion tags and stuff, is making sure that those are set up properly, not just installed properly on the landing page of your website, but making sure that those that the windows and the call length and all that stuff is set up properly to actually record that conversion correctly.
Real conversions.
Yes.
Great.
And what are real conversions?
Real conversions. So I think that there's some debate about this, but at Repli we have some very specific ideas on what we count as real conversions. So a real conversion is an actual form submission. So someone goes to the website, fills out their information, and submits, and is either kind of taken through an AJAX process or taken to a thank you page. Or it's a call that lasts 90 seconds or longer for a couple of reasons. So we've studied calls that last less than 90 seconds, and they are typically like, oh, wrong number, or
it's not sufficient time to be able
exactly.
to collect that the guest card information.
Yeah, exactly.
So anything under 90 seconds, like unless they're speeding through that, they're like, hey, what's your name? What's your number? What's your phone?
Right.
All this stuff.
You're not going to get
You ain't gonna
the
get
right.
it.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's, I just want to touch on that there's a lot of confusion in those conversion metrics and how they're set up.
Yes.
And high level conversion should equal a lead.
Yes. There's so much more I could say about
I
tracking
know.
events and conversions, but that's like
That's for another episode.
podcast
Yes.
for another day. Okay. Google Analytics podcast coming soon.
Perfect.
So the next thing is we get the cost per lead for this campaign is too high. So you'll have a marketing manager, or usually this is like VPs or something like that, we're like, we want leads for this dollar amount. And you're like, okay.
Ooh, okay.
All right, great. Like, how did you arrive to this conclusion?
Yeah.
But when you look at it from the context of your SEM campaign, a few things can happen. Your conversion tracking isn't configured properly, so you're only recording some, but not all of the conversions, thus leading to an artificially high cost per lead, and then subsequently also an artificially low conversion rate. Trickles down from there. As well as your keyword strategy might need adjustment. So you're spending your budget before you can actually collect good data. So you're getting conversions here and there on like keywords that are really inconsistent, or some kind of stuff maybe in the beginning of the campaign that you want to test and see if it's relevant and see if it works, but like maybe it's not working. And when you have a smaller budget like that, it means you're bidding on less keywords to begin with.
Yeah.
So especially in expensive markets like Fort Worth. So you want to make sure that you've got everything kind of dialed in, and like you're checking on these things when your cost per lead is looking too high. And that keyword strategy bit is going to come up again next in our next point too. So it all kind of works together. Right?
Yeah.
And then the last thing is having those irrelevant keywords in your account just to drive traffic. So this will come up again, but like if you have something in your account that you're like, oh, we think this is so relevant internally, but when someone searches for it, the intent of the user doesn't match what you're offering, you're going to get that click and you're not going to get a conversion. And like if it's a high volume keyword, you're going to get a lot of clicks usually if your bids are set right and everything. So that can be a problem with cost per lead.
So what about with the cost per lead? It's too high. I want to touch on a little bit too of like branded terms too, and like
Yeah.
heavy bidding on branded terms. And that might be the opposite, where it's like your cost per lead
It's super low. Yeah, right.
And
It's
that's
too good to be true.
It's too good to be true. And I think that's where a lot of this like false information, this fake news comes from in the PPC world, is that like, oh, well, our cost per lead is this, and it needs to be $1.50 cost per click and $7 cost per lead. And it's like, whoa, hold up now. In Atlanta and Buckhead, Atlanta, Georgia, there's absolutely no way that you can get $1.50 cost per click
on like apartments in Buckhead or
exactly.
something.
And what we found and what we know is that branded terms, so your branded terms are a lot cheaper,
of course,
within your market, because Google
recognizes that that's your brand.
So they give you cheaper.
Right, and really no one else should be bidding on those. So there's no competition to drive that CPC up.
Yep.
There's no market demand other than yourself
Yep.
To drive that CPC up.
So, and with that, that's a whole other different story.
Right, yeah.
But with that, it can lead to lower conversions and because your residents are searching you and they're searching your branded key terms. But
we'll get to negative keywords here at the end.
Yep.
Okay, so second to last thing, and this is a big one too. So low or no traffic to your landing page from your SEM campaign. And there are a few things that can contribute here. Campaign searchability. So I feel like I have to say this all the time, but it's super obvious. Paid search is a demand-driven platform. A user has to go to a search engine, type in what they're looking for results to show up. So if no one's searching for that,
there's no reason to bid on it.
Right?
And you're not going to spend any money on it because
your resort-style pool is great. Like, I love it. It's beautiful, but no one's actually looking for an apartment with a resort-style pool. So,
and that's a good point of when you're looking at the content and the copy, you have to bid on the demand.
Right.
And people don't go and say, I'm looking for an upscale apartment with premium finishes.
And the bark part, like
but they are looking for, I want a luxury apartment in Atlanta with a dog park.
That's pet friendly.
Exactly,
right,
pet friendly. Something more specific, and that's where the demand comes from. So you have to bid on things that people are actually searching for, not what you want them to search for, because they're not going to search by your terms.
Yeah. Whenever I talk about this, people are like, okay, well then how do I figure out what people are looking for? And you can do that in a couple of ways, and I think this is a really helpful tip. So Google, of course, offers the keyword planner tool. You actually have to have an AdWords account Google Ads, set up to be able to use it. Used to be you could just go and use it and you didn't have to have an account, but now you have to have one set up. So set up a dummy account, make it spend a couple of bucks, and then you can use it and search for keyword data and stuff like that. So keyword planner tool is great. Third-party tools like SEMrush are also great. So that'll allow you to see data not only for those keywords, but for those keywords like by market. So you can see like what average CPCs are, across the country in your particular region. So that's super helpful. But yeah, a little aside there on keyword research.
I like it.
Select keywords that people are actually looking for. That's the important part.
Noted.
The second thing is your bids are too low. So as the old saying goes, where's the best place to hide a dead body? Do you know?
Second page of Google.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love that joke. I've probably told it around here 100 times. It's so funny because it's funny because it's true.
Yeah.
And people will go past page 1, right? But it's not likely
if they don't find what they're searching for. if it's the answer, it's like if I like WebMD something and I'm like, oh no, I need to go to the second page because I feel like something's going to tell me that that's not the problem.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go to the second page to validate.
Right, exactly.
myself.
Or if you're like looking for, informational articles on something maybe, but like when you're looking for something and you have an immediate need right now and you want to look at something right now, you want to show up in that, what did I call it? Like, I don't even know. I'm not going to look at my notes. You really need to make sure that you are bidding enough to show up in a, here it is, respectable or clickable result. So like you're not going to get any traffic showing up on page 2 all the time, but you're like, oh, my clicks are so cheap, and I'm like, yeah, but you're not getting
very many of them.
So.
And Google spoiled us. Like,
yeah.
Google has spoiled us, and we're all creatures of habit, and you're not going down there. Like, you're not going to work for it.
Right.
We're used to it instantly coming up and
finding exactly what you need. And that's what they want, right? Like their whole thing now is like user experience and providing like the best user experience possible, and they really will reward you for following their guidelines and making sure, your ads are really, really good, your landing page is good, and it's fast and it's mobile friendly,
because
and all of the things.
People are getting better at this,
Exactly.
and people are actually starting to understand all of this. It used to be the Wild West where they're just trying to gain, get people to digital, to advertise digitally.
Right.
But now it's, this is a key integral part of your marketing.
Yeah.
And not only, I just want to touch on this, not only is it important to run PPC just to generate leads, but it does influence decisions across all mediums.
Right.
So your visibility at the top, building that trust, building your brand, getting visibility, that will create trust in conversions across all these other mediums, because you're there.
It's a multi-touch world.
Yes.
So that's definitely where things are moving. You're not just gonna.
It's not the single touch attribution model
where
you're
anymore,
just like, hey, we've placed this ad and there's the lead connected to it.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
A couple more things about your bids being too low. So it sounds a little counterintuitive, right? If you set stuff high, you're going to spend more money and you want to control costs for marketing, and that makes a lot of sense. But you really want to set your bids higher to begin with, and then whittle them away over time. So that helps your campaigns in 2 ways. Low bids can affect your click-through rate, right? You're going to show, but you're not going to get clicked as often if you're showing up lower on the page, on the second page, that kind of thing. That's going to influence your ad rank. So click-through rate ties into quality score, which contributes to ad rank, and that's going to impact the success of your campaign overall. So you're going to end up spending more on your SEM leads over the lifetime of your SEM campaign if you set your bids low in the beginning and try to generate conversions from that, than if you set your bids high in the beginning and kind of narrow them down as you gain Google's trust and you do the things that they like you to do in your SEM campaigns, and get rewarded for
absolutely
behaving accordingly. And the last one is something that we hear all the time, unqualified or low quality traffic, all the time, unqualified traffic, this and that. And negative keywords are going to be the most helpful tool for any SEM campaign here, along with your keyword strategy, right? You want to make sure you're bidding on the right stuff, but I think in items 1 through 5 here, we've covered that.
I fully agree with you on this. This is like...
this
is my thing.
Yeah, this is your thing. This is totally your thing. Not taking advantage of negative keywords will cost your campaigns top dollar. You'll waste
so much
thousands of dollars. And we've seen it. We've seen it happen in accounts that we've inherited. Thousands of dollars wasted on not taking advantage of this super easy, super simple thing to implement. So...
And to give you some insight into how to manage these negative keywords, you're looking at your search queries.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
looking where these conversions are coming from, these clicks are coming from, and you're identifying the irrelevant search queries and search terms within these campaigns.
Right.
If it doesn't make sense, get it out of there.
It's got to go, right.
It's got to go.
Well, especially with Google being so taking certain liberties with match types now. So you definitely, you're not going to get a whole lot of traffic to your campaign if you're just using exact match keywords, even though they're the most relevant. But now with phrase and broad match, even broad match modified, they're pulling in whatever they want, basically. And so you have to take advantage of negative keywords in order to avoid wasting money on things like Mexican restaurant in Fort Worth when you're bidding on apartment terms.
And let me say one thing. Let me tell you all something of why it's not going to go to an automated system. There has to be the human touch because of search queries that will pull up that are irrelevant or relevant that you need to pay attention to.
Exactly.
Automation, AI, artificial intelligence, deep learning, that it's not even close to being there to where these campaigns can be managed on their own with an algorithm, doing that, because you have to pay attention to these things, or it just will spend your money.
Right, exactly. And
That's my 2 cents.
because we love the multifamily industry and we love apartment marketing, we've actually put out a version of our master negatives list that we use in almost all of our campaigns. So there are some things that we've taken out of this because it's a little proprietary, but a version of this that gives you a great jumping off point if you don't have negative keywords or your negative keywords list is really small in your campaigns right now. A version of our master negative list specifically built for the multifamily industry is available at repli360.com/master negatives. So
Nice.
yeah, a little
like
freebie
this.
for everybody.
Yeah. And if you want the full list, give us a call.
Yeah, give us a call. We'll give
Hit us on the pager if it's major.
Yeah, right.
So, negative list.
Good.
So, running down, run down what we discussed. Top 5.
Okay.
So there's 5, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's actually 6. I put 4 on there twice.
Yeah.
You're welcome. So low click-through rate, primarily resulting from your ads not being relevant or engaging. Low conversion rate can be use of a page that's not designed to convert. Your conversion tracking isn't configured properly or at all. And your landing page copy doesn't highlight your community's unique selling propositions. Your cost per lead is too high, so your conversion tracking isn't configured properly. Your keyword strategy might need an adjustment, or you've got irrelevant keywords in your account just there to drive traffic. If you're getting low to no traffic, your campaign searchability needs work, your bids are too low, and then unqualified or low quality traffic is primarily due to either keyword strategy or your negative keywords not being dialed in.
And there it is.
There it is.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So that wraps up our PPC, easy as 1, 2, 3.
4, 5, 6.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
So, good
Great.
work.
Woo.
This is a great episode. If you guys have any questions about PPC or your PPC strategy, your keywords, give us a call and get our master negative keyword list.
Yeah.
And that should, that's an easy win right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Get out all that unqualified
money.
traffic. Save the money. And we will see you guys on the next episode of Repli Talk. Visit us at www.repli360.com to check us out and give us a rating, give us a like on LinkedIn. We appreciate you. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.